Sometimes I feel dirty. It suddenly occurred to me to cure the impurity. I need an orange so that I don't get scurvy. Or when I'm feeling unworthy, certain situations on the earth unnerve me. I eat an orange so that I don't get scurvy.
Welcome to Book Time with Ryan. I am Ryan, and today I will be talking about Madhouse at the End of the Earth by Julian Sancton. Or Sancton? Sancton. I'm always bad with names. The Belgica's Journey into the Dark Antarctic Night. I had seen people talk about this book, I think. Actually, no. I'd seen pictures of the book somewhere, and I've had it for a while. I think it was kind of popular on BookTube maybe a year or two ago. I got it. I never read it, and I am reading more of these kind of Arctic and Antarctic expedition books for my maritime nautical playlist. And this was the next step. I had just read Erebus, and that took place in 1841, 42, 43, but to 1850. This takes place, the trip really starts in 1897 and ends in 1899. And they winter over in Antarctica. And things get bad. Not as bad as I was expecting, though. Up until this book, I guess not everything I'd read, but at least a lot of these old Antarctic and Arctic expedition books start out in England. This one is actually out of Belgium, the relatively newly independent Belgium. And they were really looking for some kind of national pride, something to get behind. And this kind of noble person named de Gerlache proposed a trip to Antarctica to see the North Magnetic Pole and make landfall and stay over the winter, I guess winter in on the mainland in Antarctica, on the continent. That's the plan. Now, for my reading of this book, I feel like it's two parts. We have the preparation, kind of the fundraising aspect of it, trying to find some backers, financial backers for this expedition. Which happens, but it almost feels like after reading these other books that this is a pretty underqualified group of people to make this kind of expedition. They're all younger than me. Take from that what you will. But it seems like there's a lot of people that are passed over or pass on this expedition. So they're not getting the cream of the crop. They're not getting the most qualified or the most experienced people. This is starting from Belgium, and there's this idea with Gerlache that the crew should be Belgian. But the problem is Belgium doesn't have enough of a maritime tradition to have a big group of qualified people to choose from. So he has to look elsewhere, but he's also very sensitive to the public affairs kind of aspect of this. And dealing with the press and what they'll think if this is a Belgian expedition that involves a lot of foreigners, because there's a lot of national pride here. So there are foreigners. Some of them are from Norway. One of the main foreigners is the doctor, Frederick Cook. So they get underway, 1897. They are on a former whaling sealing ship from, I believe, Norway or Denmark, maybe Sweden, a Scandinavian country that has been outfitted for this expedition. It's a small crew. When we look at Erebus and Terror, we're looking at over 100, probably 130, 150 people total. This is 18 18 total on the ship. This ship's a little bit bigger than Erebus, but not that much bigger. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to be able to find it. So the question is really, why not Belgium? Why can't we do it? They do. They try. And you have the Commandant, Gerlache. You also have the captain. All right, let's see. You have the Gerlache, who is basically the captain, but he is in charge of. I think like if there was more than one ship, then that would matter. But there's not. There's one ship. So he's the Commandant, Adrien de Gerlache de Gomery. That's hard to say. Frederick Albert Cook is the expedition's surgeon, an ethnologist. George Leconte is the captain, but he's basically the first mate. And then we have Roald Amundsen, who goes on to pretty big fame, and he is the first mate. All right, so they've got 18 people. They're going south, and they're going to stop along the way a couple different times. They start to have some issue with some of the... There's kind of a division between the Belgian crew and the Norwegian crew members. Eventually that fomates into almost like a near mutiny, and they get rid of a few people in, I don't know, it was Chile or Argentina? Chilean ports. And then they go south. They're looking for the mainland. They're looking for a way to go basically around Antarctica and end up in Victoria Land and find the South Pole, South Magnetic Pole. And instead they start running into a number of problems, but one of those problems becomes the sea ice is starting to form because they started too late and they've had a number of delays. So they got to the area at a late point in the season. Gerlache sees that the ice is starting to pack and makes the decision to go south, kind of make a mad dash for it, which was probably not the right decision. And he did that. They get stuck in ice and they have to ice over. And we go from certain days to 24 hours of night for 70 days. And the animals that were in their area flee. Everyone starts experiencing, well, not everyone, I guess, well, probably everyone experiences some form of scurvy, which is a vitamin C deficiency. A very disgusting thing. I've talked about this in other videos, but I actually I almost was going to try to do like scurvy looking makeup, do my gums black, but I didn't. So I picked a song that talks about scurvy. If you listen to the song, he does mention something about orange Coke, orange soda or something. I don't know if there's any vitamin C in that. In oranges, yes. Limes, yes. Lemons, yes. What I found out from this book is that lemons are better to stave off scurvy and limes aren't. Limes oxidize and lose their antisorbic, is that right? Properties. So after a while underway, you're going to be, even if you're drinking the lime juice reduction kind of thing, it's really not going to help you out that much. What does help you out is seal or penguin meat, which they eventually start eating. With the title of this book, Madhouse at the End of the Earth, I thought there was going to be this kind of cabin fever, everyone breaks down, it goes crazy. That didn't really happen. There were a couple people that really lost it. One really lost it, and then the other one kind of momentarily lost it and then kind of came back around. There may have been, part of the reasoning for this may have been that there were some chemicals on board to kill animals to bring back for research, and they may have been inhaling fumes from that, but also it's probably scurvy and how that has taken its toll on them. So they ice over, or they winter over, and they're stuck on the ship, and it's really cold, really cold. We just had a snowstorm here. Check this awesome sledding out. Oh shit! Look at the camera.
Huh?
Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Yeah.
How old is it?
Yeah. We won. We won that race. Reading that, standing out in the snow and the wind and 30 degrees, just kind of drove home how horrible it must have been. That's 30 degrees. And I'm like, ooh, it's a little chilly. It was negative 50 degrees. And they're enduring that. And the wind, I mean, they're in the Arctic area. There's no, I think they really cut down a lot of the wind. So I just can't imagine that. Anyway, people start losing a little bit. Frederick Cook starts to take over some of the treatment. And he has this idea that natives in the Arctic survive off of things other than citrus fruits and vegetables, so there must be something there to it. He starts prescribing basically raw penguin and raw seal meat, and that helps a lot of people. They think that they're not going to last. A couple people die. One fell overboard. One basically his heart failed on him, although he was kind of sickly anyway. So they have like this narrow window when the ice starts to let up a little bit, and they hope that they get some kind of lead that they'll be able to break out of the ice and get to open ocean. If they miss that, they're going to be stuck there again. And the prognosis is that they're probably going to lose a lot more people if they get stuck again. People aren't doing well because of scurvy, but a lot of other things are really taking it, especially this kind of doldrums, this depression that sets in, some of which is probably because of the lack of light and activity. So they have this plan. They're going to kind of make this canal through the ice, or they're going to break kind of this little ridge and hope that splits open. The first part of the book, I was like, this is such a dumb group to trust to go down to the Antarctic. I think by the very end, maybe that hasn't changed a whole lot, but you are seeing this will to survive, and it gets a little stressful at the end when they're trying to break out. And eventually they do. They go back. They all find their way eventually back to Europe. Well, I guess not Cook, because Cook went back to the U.S. And they all kind of write their stories. And a couple of them have longer tales. Cook has this trip to the Arctic where he says he gets to the North Pole, the actual North Pole, not the magnetic pole. He already said that he made it through the Northwest Passage, but that was... No, did he? Maybe he didn't. I don't remember anymore. There's this idea that they're all kind of telling their stories. What comes out is Cook's probably lying about stuff. He eventually goes to jail for, I think, this kind of stock scheme fraud involving oil companies, and does some time in jail and then eventually gets out. Roald Amundsen goes on to become a huge explorer, first person to make it to the North Pole and the South Pole. Also the Northwest Passage. He's kind of done it all, and eventually dies. Looking for somebody who we think dies, looking for this airship that went to the Arctic Circle. And that's kind of where we're left with it. I think like it's one of those stories it's different because the ship makes it back. It was also different because it's a lot less time. One winter, and they were already losing it. But also in Antarctica, you don't have possible natives to hold out hope for and other ships. They're really there by themselves, and there aren't going to be any humans. And what are you going to do? So they lost it sooner there, and it's also a smaller crew. So, you know, in some ways that's easier because there's less food to gather to support the people. But also there's more, each person carries more weight. They have to be relied on more to get through it. And really the end of this, it is a page turner about trying to get out. So I enjoyed that. I gave it 4 stars. Really liked it. I didn't find the title to be quite as accurate as I was expecting, just because 2 people out of 18 went crazy. That's not really Madhouse. It refers to this walk that Cook would have people do to kind of keep them exercised and keep their minds engaged, and it was the Madhouse Promenade, I think. But you know, the ship did not turn into a crazy house, and people definitely experienced extreme conditions, and some of those conditions affected them for the rest of their lives. But it wasn't like Arkham Asylum breaking open or anything like that. And the ship made it back. Kind of one cool thing I found out later is that Gerlache tries to help fund this other ship named the Polaris. He eventually backs out because he has some financial issues, but Polaris becomes the Endurance, which is pretty neat because I'll be reading that book eventually. And that's it. I mean, it's a good book. I recommend it. It certainly has a different feel to it. Now we're talking about Belgium and the Belgica. Check it out. Enjoy Belgica's expedition to the Antarctic and Belgium's first foray into the Antarctic and the Arctic expedition world. Thanks for being here today. I will talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.
Minerals and vitamins, integral for defeating a Leviathan. You don't want to get so tired before you triumph. You need an early retirement. Sometimes I feel dirty. Suddenly it occurred to me to cure the impurity. I need an orange so that I don't get scurvy. Or when I'm feeling unworthy, certain situations on the earth unnerve me. I eat an orange so that I don't get scurvy. Sometimes my mood gets dampened. Everywhere I turn I see the scurvy is rampant. You don't wanna let that happen. It's not happening. It's not handsome, especially if you're on a voyage. Even if you're damaged but manage to stay buoyant, it amounts to more than merely an annoyance. Trust me, I'm clairvoyant. When your wounds start opening and gums start bleeding, that's an adversary that guns aren't beating. Before your heart stops beating, get your broccoli and Brussels sprouts and start eating. I don't want that to happen to me. Can't warn me all about losing my vitamin C. These are the type of things you need to know when going to sea. Y'all are going to sea.